Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
What's up everybody? We are here at the end of season 7, episodes 21 and 22 with friends, where we are talking about the one with the vows and the one with Chandler's dad. And I'll tell you, this is going to be a little different because we're hitting one of these highlight episodes, if you will, where we're going to get a lot of blasts from the past.
Blast from the past. Oh, well, yes. This first episode coming in here is it's a flashback episode.
Yeah.
There's no way around.
I'm going to call it highlights. I know we debated this. I'm not doing.
Oh, here we go.
Listen. I'm going to call this a highlight episode. That way we can determine the difference between a flashback and a highlight. I feel like these are all highlights.
What is the difference?
Okay. In my head, which is not, listen, you don't really want to get too deep into there. But in my brain, this would be a highlight episode. These are all things that we have already seen as viewers. We have seen this. These are clips from the show. Where a flashback would be to an alternate story, like when they flash back to Monica and Ross's youth, and it is in the past, but it is, something that is new to the story. That's how I'm differentiating.
Okay.
Because those two things are different. Those two things are different.
As Monica would say, do we really want to pull at that thread?
Yes, we do.
But so Eric, I will just let's just.
I will stand on this soapbox.
What your later statement was, though, is that a flashback is something that we've had to have seen it in the past.
No.
You said before.
No, I've changed my mind on this. I've had some time.
This is recorded, people.
Yes, I know. I've had some time to think about it and figure out how I want to really go about this. And I agree because
Merriam-Webster's dictionary says no.
Listen, because I agree. In the first time we had these flashback episodes or whatever you want to call them, I was struggling with this. I'm trying to put a term to it. So this is the term that I'm sticking on. It's a highlight, like on SportsCenter. If I watched highlights of last night's game, these would be things that I have seen before. I've already seen this game. Where a flashback would be to a moment that I have not seen before.
Oh, so now you're totally reversing what you had stated.
I'm not reversing what I said. I'm just redefining it.
Wow.
Yes.
People.
And I will stand on it. And I've had time to digest this and think it through and come up with new terms. And these are the terms that I will stand on for the rest of this podcast history until I decide to change them again.
If anyone can keep that straight and follow that line of thinking, then let's just agree with Eric.
Thank you. Let's just agree with Eric and move on. I like that. Let's have that idea.
My God. Wow.
Like that.
Well, and I think a highlight can be a flashback can be a highlight. That's just
no, I don't like this.
The importance of the flashback. Is it a highlight or is it just like a throwaway flashback?
No, because the two things are very different. Like when you watch a flashback episode and it is learning about the prom video, that's a really cool thing to see. When it's a flashback and you're learning about Monica and Chandler's past when they got together in London, that's very cool because this is new information. This one with the vows, this is less exciting because it is all stuff we've seen before.
Okay.
Listen, I'm clearly not going to convince you, but maybe there are people out there that hear me and understand what I'm saying. And
I'm using
those of you will comment and like and subscribe and all the fun things and support and know that this is right. And we go from there.
Nonsense. 5 stars, please. Yeah.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Well, okay, just as a reminder of where we left things off last week, we had Ross and Monica's hot cousin visiting, and things got real weird. We also had Joey auditioning for a role with full frontal nudity, and Monica was helping him out with a prepare for that role. Rachel and Phoebe threw a last-minute bridal shower for Monica and forgot to invite her. We also saw Rachel's sorority sister in town, and guess what? It was Winona Ryder, Joyce Byers. We also had Chandler wanting to wear a celebrity tux when he married Monica, debating between 007, Batman, I don't know, Ross was oddly trying to show him up. And finally, we also saw that Joey was assuming his parents were going to be invited to said wedding. And I forget, where did we land on that? Were the Tribbianis, are they officially going? Are they not going? I feel like they are going in the end. We never actually see them there, I don't think.
No, we don't, which is ironic of all that. Yeah. But I do think we landed on that they are invited because Monica personally called and gave all sorts of information about why the letter was lost in the mail, and it's the damn post office, and what are they, Irish? It got real weird for Monica real quick, but you do what you got to do.
Yes. Well, Eric, I guess we need to start talking about whatever we want to call it, highlights, flashbacks. So wait,
yes, thank you. We'll call it highlights. Yes, we've seen these things.
All right, the highlight reel.
Yes, this is a highlight reel. We'll talk about this one. This is episode 21, the one with the vows, and ultimately, usually this is where I would explain the three storylines that are going on, but there is just one. It is Monica and Chandler are preparing for their wedding by writing their own vows and the struggles that they're having with that. Monica is calling in the girls as reinforcement to help with this. Chandler's obviously talking to his boys about this. And then throughout this entire vow writing process, including and up to them sharing them with their friends of the similar gender, the highlights of their entire history are being played over the background, going as far back as things from, Chandler and Monica at the beach episodes, where they weren't even considered to be dating, but they were making jokes about, well, what if I was the last man on earth? Would you date me then? And we had highlights all the way through the hiding of the relationship, and we had the proposal and everything in between. Lots and lots of highlights.
They just
here.
Gave a whole rundown of their whole relationship, which I have to say, obviously, to me, the funniest points were the hiding of the relationship.
No doubt.
And that whole scenario.
It's that whole thing where they're hiding the relationship is one of my favorite story arcs that Friends does in the entire series.
Whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, my favorite part by far is Phoebe finding out through the window. I mean, that is one of the funniest moments in the entire series, I think. Her looking through the window and my eyes. I mean, that's it cracks me up every time. It cracked me up on this rewatch. I feel like that was probably one of, between that and then where they're messing around with each other saying, but they don't know that we know that they know know. That whole thing, that was probably the 2 points that still cracks me up no matter how many times I watch it.
Personally, I love Joey discovering it, hearing about the eyeliner and waiting for Donald Trump or seeing Donald Trump in an elevator, and Chandler having to tackle him into the bedroom to keep him quiet, and then he's the one pointing, you and you, this is unbelievable, I gotta tell somebody. That sets the whole thing in motion, and it is one of my favorite scenes.
In London.
No. Yeah. Love it. I'm looking back because I wanted to get the name of the episode right. The last time they did this was also episode 21, but it was season 4, and it was the one with the wedding, the one with the invitation. And this is when Ross was sending Rachel an invitation to the wedding for Ross and Emily. And
yeah.
Rachel was declining going because you were getting this entire highlight reel of Ross and Rachel's relationship leading up until Ross is trying to decide whether or not he is actually going to invite her to his wedding to another person. I will say this on the whole. When I stack the two highlight episodes next to each other, I like this one a lot better.
Yeah.
I like the highlights more, first of all. I like watching Monica and Chandler get together way more than watching Ross and Rachel get together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just more like silliness and tension, and like the whole gang is more involved too.
Yes.
With, like they all find out
and I think
like all that stuff.
I think Friends hit its stride more at this point, where we have to give some credit to the fact that the highlights of Ross and Rachel getting together are like from the first episode. Like all the way to there. So it was like a 3-season run of Ross and Rachel, and Ross liking Rachel without her knowing, Rachel then liking Ross without him knowing, and a whole back and forth going on there before we get to this point. This is very different because the characters are well developed at this point. Everything is funny. I feel like there's no there's hiding from the gang, but there is not like a one person from the group doesn't know. Yeah. You know, and it's serious that we keep them from this person. Like, yeah, it's
still don't want to tell Ross.
Well, that's just that you're right about that.
That lasts about 2 seconds.
That did not last long.
Well, Eric, I also feel like the tone overall is different because in that episode, it's like it's kind of starts out with this Ross is torn between whether or not he should even invite Rachel, and the whole thing is kind of sad for the viewer a little bit because it's like, well, he's marrying this other woman that we all know this probably isn't gonna work out, and like I guess you don't really know that obviously on the first watch, but you still think I don't know, you gotta think back and say, were they really gonna have Ross just get married and that was gonna be the new way, like she was gonna be a new person in the group? I don't know. All I'm trying to say is with that storyline, it just had a very different tone going into it. Whereas this one, it's a celebration. Like they're getting married.
Absolutely.
It's a great thing. Everyone is on board. There's no one like upset about it. Whereas with, Ross and Emily, there were some mixed feelings.
Totally agree. Totally agree with that. The way that it is set in tone is much different because there's no sadness or confusion or should they or shouldn't they. This is all positive. Everything's good here. And so because of that, it's just, in my opinion, more enjoyable to watch. And again, like I just said, the whole hiding the relationship from the gang is one of my favorite arcs that the series does. And so I don't mind rewatching those moments. Like that's a much better rewatch. As much as everyone is going to point to like Rachel unlocking the door at Central Perk and Ross coming in, and I don't care about that as much. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I love that scene, but it's just not as good. The funnier scenes are just better on the rewatch. I'm always going to like feel that way. I mean, I'm sure even with this highlight reel.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll say that with my rabbit
We're catching.
ears.
No. We can just say it normally.
Even with this, these highlights, with the proposal piece, which I know I talked about when we watched it the first time through. I mean, listen, it's a great episode. It's gonna get me a little choked up every single time. Is it my favorite one to rewatch? Not really, because it's sort of, I don't know. I just prefer watching the really silly moments over and over again than the sentimental ones. That's just me. So, but I also get that that's what makes Friends great is you have like a little bit of everything with that, right? Like they had a way of being really, really funny, but also really emotional and sentimental. So,
Yeah, this episode is not really high up on the rewatch list. Simply because you could just watch the episodes that all these things happened in.
Yeah, I will say, though, they did touch on, like, well, what's to come in the future, right? Like, we're in the 7th season.
They did.
At this point, when you're watching it, we don't know how many more seasons Friends has to go, right? And so Joey is starting to get all upset. This is where we start to see that story arc where he's like, well, everything's going to change. And we see that kind of carry through with Joey, where he is not a fan of the change. He wants things to remain the same. And, you know, Phoebe brings up that they're going to have friends with kids and they'll need to live near a Volvo dealership. And you know, Joey's not pleased with this. So
no, I think that's actually the most important storyline piece from this entire episode, is that they did sneak in a little bit of character development where of all of the friends, we've now established that Joey is not a fan of change. And I don't think we knew that beforehand. This is, to me, a new element. And of course it does open the door for, so we're not just all going to be sitting around Central Perk forever. Like we're going to expand. We're going to start seeing the friends adjust as they get older and change. And what are they going to do with that? Well, who knows? We'll find out.
Yes. Well, and they even touch on in the next episode, we don't see him often, but even Phoebe's been seeing the same guy for a solid month.
That is kind of wild.
And I also want to point out too, I mean, well, maybe I'll hold on.
Do you want to jump
until the next episode?
We can do that. Is there anything else you want to touch on this one?
I mean, with this one,
I'll give you this. I enjoy one of my favorite like new fresh jokes from this episode comes at the very end, where the boys are now reading Chandler's vows to Monica, and they are both like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! Like, how did you write this?" And he's like, "Well, I found Monica's vows, and I just rewrote the names." And they're like, Ross immediately was like, "You can't do that." And Joey comes back with, "He can if he goes first." Chandler's like, "Hey, there you go. There you go."
Wow. Yeah. Well, because before that, in the scene where like the girls are hearing Monica, they're reading over her shoulder her vows, whereas then the boys are reading Chandler's vows over his shoulder, and they're all cracking up. And Monica's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, honey. We can make yours funnier."
I mean, what would you expect? You're marrying Chandler. What do you expect to happen?
Oh,
come on. He's gonna make it funny.
Yeah. Well, I think he comes through in the end.
He does. He always delivers at the end. So now let's jump into episode 22, which is the one with Chandler's dad, and this one is very different because, in my opinion, there is a pretty good balance here of kind of an emotional moment and then some silly moments is what we end up with. And I'm going to call them silly, not so much funny. I think they're just kind of quirky things that happen. We, of course, have the going to Vegas to find Chandler's dad and actually invite him to the wedding portion. We have the section where Ross and Rachel are driving in Monica's Porsche. And I guess we'll start here with the section which you've already alluded to, which is Joey is now starting to get to know Phoebe's boyfriend, Jake, who we have been introduced to. This is the guy who was out the window yelling, "I miss you already." And I know. And I honestly, I am taken aback sometimes. I'm like, how did this guy? This is the one that's stuck for a couple episodes? All right, whatever. So Jake is now introducing himself to Joey. They are discussing like, hey, you like the Knicks? I like the Knicks. Let's go to a Knicks game. Like, okay, that sounds great. And get to know each other a little better since you're dating Phoebe. And as Jake kind of leans over to get a calendar or something out of his bag, Joey sees that he is wearing women's underwear, which sparks this whole discussion with Phoebe and Joey eventually deciding he's going to try on, I guess, some of Rachel's underwear because they're in the apartment. And and we go. So, I don't know. What do you want to grab from this story section?
So the first thing what I was thinking of in the last episode is just Phoebe in relationships, because they make this whole big deal when Phoebe starts dating Mike later on in the series that she's never had like a serious boyfriend. And I just want to say,
well, except for Vikram. Except for Vikram.
Well, Vikram. Yes, but I mean, I just want to point out, maybe Phoebe's relationships don't last a super long time, but I mean, she's had David, she's had oh my gosh, now I can't remember his name, Gary, the cop that she moved in with.
She did.
She's been with this guy for a month and seems pretty serious. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Phoebe, she almost made it seem like she hadn't been on more than like 2 dates with the same person when she was talking to Mike. And I'm like, she even told David that she loved him. I mean, they were at that level. So I don't know.
But David is in Russia. Okay. And when it comes down to it, David and Phoebe have only had about 2 dates.
Yeah, they jumped to the I love you pretty fast.
It's just, it is what it is. The best excuse for Phoebe having had a long-term relationship before she ends up getting to Mike down the line is Gary. She dated Gary for at least 5 or 6 episodes. And she did ultimately move in, although we all know she never really was big on the idea of moving in with him.
And as we did talk about, I mean, I think she probably packed an overnight bag when she moved in, but she hadn't really moved all of her stuff in.
No, which is why I still think, like, I understand the parachute out of the Gary relationship was that he shot a bird, and that is over, as Chandler would say.
Yes.
And I agree with some of that, but I also have to think, like, this element of his character cannot be brand new. Like, if you are that against guns, you're probably not marrying a police officer.
Yeah, there is that.
And so you're moving in with this guy and you're not interested. And then he, I hear you, shooting a bird out of an apartment building in New York is probably not the move.
Probably not great.
No. Yeah. That being said, if that's the situation you find yourself in, I feel like there was still some runway for her to be okay with that and at least like have a conversation as opposed to just bolt. Call it a day.
Yeah, I think it spoke more to, I mean, we've talked about, like, before, Monica Chandler's inability to commit and Joey having commitment issues. I think Phoebe has had the same commitment issues.
For sure.
So I think, like, that's really what it's more about. I just had to point out that I feel like she has had real relationships and she should have given herself a little bit more credit when we get to that conversation with Mike.
Well, that being said, if she's been dating this guy for this long, we also have Joey saying, like, hey, listen, I feel like we should get to know each other a little better. Like,
yes.
What's your name?
Hey.
What? I'm like, yes. They've been dating for this long, you don't know his name? Like, she hasn't mentioned the name? He hasn't been around ever with you? Like, what's going on, Joey? Come on now.
No. I think it was more like reminding us who the heck this guy is, right?
Yes, totally.
Because, and as a reminder, people, this is the guy that came up that Phoebe convinced Monica was giving her the eyes and flirting with her. So he came over and he's like, oh, I thought you knew that I was looking at you. She's like, oh, I did. I just want to have some fun.
I think it's funny, too, that they attempt to establish this whole thing because we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. Like, we're into the wedding episodes. after this.
Do you remember how their relationship ends? Because I sure don't.
I think it ends right here. I don't think we see this guy again, and it just goes off into the distance, and we start season 8, and it's all, that's it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, maybe I'm just like really like blocking out how this storyline ends, but I guess it is just here.
But like, well, I find it interesting that they chose to do this only because I feel like they could have introduced any actor as someone that Phoebe was dating at this point, did not have to attempt to establish that this was something that had been going on for a while, and the storyline would not have made a difference.
No, I just think that, well, okay. So a couple things with that. I think maybe they did want to just show that, hey, Phoebe has been dating one guy for a little bit of time and like, you know, just show that she has been in some type of relationship. Another piece is that I think for this episode as a whole, I feel like a central theme was masculinity and what it means to be a man, you know, and that like running through the entire, actually all 3 of these storylines, you can kind of see, pull that out of it.
Definitely.
And we'll get to the others.
Definitely.
Yeah. And and I think to really go into this guy is wearing Phoebe's underwear because he likes it. And like, they're kind of at that level in their relationship. I don't think that's going to just happen with like a one night stand necessarily.
No, but I feel like it's
they are getting to know each other. And like this guy, like they're just kind of exploring a unique aspect of like a relationship and like, hey, he's sharing this interest with her. And I just think that maybe that's more believable with someone that you've been with for like at least a little while, right? Like that might not come up on the first time that you've been with someone. So that's just
but I guess
that's there.
My point was you could have introduced this as some guy that Phoebe's been dating for a while and brought in anybody. Like you didn't actually have to go back and get the same guy to do it. Although it's fine that they did. I don't have a problem with it.
Well, they had the whole window scene that was really funny. I miss you already. So hey, to have him just disappear would have been weird. So.
No, that would have been great. Well, either way, it was fine still. I don't really have a whole lot else to say from this. I mean, I know we get that like scene with Joey and Phoebe on the couch later where he shows Phoebe that he's wearing women's underwear and
he's all proud of himself.
Then he starts talking about pantyhose and he then comes to the conclusion of like, I think I should take this off pretty quickly. And Phoebe's like, I think it's important that you do.
Oh my God. Yeah, then they walk it back. She's like, I don't know, maybe this has gone too far. Joey, you're not ready for this yet. But hey, Joey, you know what? You embrace that, buddy. I think he maybe was tapping into a new interest for himself, which would have taken Joey's character down a very different road. But
for sure.
I do like at the end where he's like going to pay for some girl's coffee, which on its own was a very unique to Joey moment because I'm like, how often is he doing that?
Yes.
But then he pulls like Rachel's panties out of his pocket because apparently he still had them on him, just wasn't wearing them. Went back to going commando as we know Joey often does. So yeah. That's
I really do like that moment only because Joey gets to deliver the line like, hey, you look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere? Oh, maybe it's because I'm on TV.
Oh, God.
It's like, I'm just an actor on Days of Our Lives, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let me get this. And I feel like that was a moment where it was like reestablishing, by the way, Joey's like an actor on Days of Our Lives and he's paying for this girl's coffee. Maybe he's actually doing a little bit better than we thought he was doing. And you
get a whole lot of information in that one exchange of dialogue.
You do,
because you also get the whole like, wow, reminder that Joey's not all bright. Yeah.
No, because then he goes to pull out his wallet, he pulls out the panties, and he's like, "These are for you." That's not a good move, Joey. Nope. But what else are you gonna do? What else you got? You got nothing else in that moment. You're just done at that point. So you got to try to salvage it somehow, I guess.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Just walk away slowly, Joey. Into the bushes. Homer Simpson it into the bushes.
That's really the best way to do that.
Yeah.
So let's bounce over here to Ross and Rachel and the Porsche, where Monica clearly has set the guidelines of a don't tell Rachel that you drive the Porsche policy, which starts off this whole episode, where it's become very clear to Rachel that she's not allowed to drive the Porsche. Only Monica can drive the Porsche. Only Monica can drive the Porsche. I don't think I said that right. But yet, Ross gets to drive it. Because, well, he's my brother. Well, Phoebe never gets to drive it. Okay, I drive it all the time. Joey's driven it a couple times. Like, everybody's driven it, apparently.
Assuming Chandler's driven it.
Assuming now Chandler has driven it. The only one who doesn't get to drive it is Rachel. And so she essentially steals the car from Ross while he's in the bathroom, takes the keys, also takes some cash, and heads out, gets in the car, and Ross reluctantly gets in the car to, I guess, monitor the situation. I'm not going to wonder about how he got from the back to the death seat, but at some point he did.
Yeah, it happened.
And this is where we get into the real core of the storyline, I feel like, where we have Rachel getting pulled over by the police and then also having to let Ross drive the rest of the way, only for then Ross to get pulled over by the police, and how these interactions go. Do you want to start with the first piece of this here?
Well, I love Rachel having the line like, oh, I forgot how much I love driving. I have got to get my license renewed. And Ross being like such a rule follower. He is like, just really upset about this. And then, of course, 2 seconds later, the cop pulls up behind her. I mean, listen, I don't know. This whole scene with, what was it? Officer Hanscom, but she calls him Officer Handsome.
I think it was Hanson.
Oh, Hanson.
Like,
yes.
she called him handsome,
yes.
and it was actually Hanson.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is a lot better than petty and pretty.
Oh, but this whole moment where, she's going on about having a dream about him and like guessing his astrology sign and like.
How many guesses do you think she got before he was going to let her off the hook?
5 guesses.
She took at least 4 or 5. And I mean, there's only 12, right? I don't know astrology that well, but I feel like there's only about 12-ish.
Yeah. She went through like half of them. Yeah. It's, but just the fact that I loved when the cop is looking at her license. He's like, wow. And Ross is like, I know, thinking that he's looking at the expiration date. But no, he's like, wow, this picture is fantastic. Like, is a cop really? I mean, I don't know. This is a lot.
No, there's no chance that this is how this goes down.
This is not how.
But I do love Ross's response to that. He's like, well, it should. It was taken 8 years ago.
10 years ago, I think he says. Yeah. Oh my God. But I do enjoy, though, again, because this is where I feel like they're going into kind of the masculine moment in this portion, because the cop is looking at Ross, who's like freaking out. And he's like, can that guy handle a stick? And he's like, I can handle a stick, because like Rachel's sort of like, oh, I don't know. I don't think he can. And Ross then gets pulled over for going like 2 miles an hour, because he like cannot even handle driving the fast car at all. And it's sort of that stereotype of, I don't know.
I think that's partially that. I think it's more baked into the idea of Ross putting on a poor role model experience for his son. That is
too,
more challenging to masculinity, I think, than the being able to handle the stick. I think it's a little bit of both, though. You're right.
And I think just Ross's character in general, there's a lot of moments where it's like where we see with the nanny coming up in a later episode, where he's kind of like, he really liked to play with his action figure dolls, when he was a kid, and he has a lot of, I think, like shame from that his father like gave him a hard time about that, and I think he's always trying to like act more manly, even though Ross's character in general, like, isn't exactly like hyper masculine by any means.
None of the guys in the show are super masculine by any stretch.
No, I mean, Joey certainly is, but like, it's not. Yeah,
I mean, he's more by comparison.
Yeah. As opposed to, I mean, I can't really think of a trait with Joey where I'd be like, hey, that isn't more like a stereotypical like guy's guy.
I think people would start by saying that like being an actor is not exactly a super masculine trait.
Okay, it's more in the arts.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
like
fair.
we start with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We also just had an episode where he was trying on women's underwear. What are we talking about right now?
Well,
like I got all kinds of
No, but he was originally extremely like confused and opposed it. So
yes,
I think
he did.
Like, yeah, just in general, I feel like Joey does tend to like.
I think I would agree. He's
bring out those.
He also is the one that, you know, way back in early on, like fixed the heater in like 3 seconds, and like is the one that will crash through a door that's locked to like open it up, and
that's what I'm
for
saying,
sure.
Right.
He has more of those traits than Chandler and Ross do, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also think he has plenty of other moments that soften him up, like in comparison to some of the guys that the girls have dated over the times that are like the true like masculine people, like firefighters and police officers, and, you know, have a more stereotypical vibe. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're Richard. That's all you gotta say.
You're Richard.
What else do I want to add to this? Is there any other piece here? Well, I guess in referencing this whole challenging him as a father situation, it all comes when, you know, where Ross is now pulled over. He's pulled over because he's going like 30 in a 60 or something like that.
Yes.
And the officer is Officer Petty, who now, once he realizes he's getting a ticket for going too slow, he decides to literally go down Rachel's like dream act, where it's like, oh, I had a dream last night. Don't you want to hear about my dream, Officer Pretty? He's like, no, I don't. And Rachel then is like, you have a son.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, which is like,
he's like, I know. And he immediately knows that
it's like, Ross, what are you doing?
There was no chance there, Ross. Nice attempt. Well, let's move forward to the crux of this story here, which is, now that we've had kind of the two sillier moments with the 4 cast members who are not traveling to Vegas, we get a far more emotional moment here with Monica and Chandler, after Monica does her best job to convince Chandler that when it's all said and done, he wants to make sure his dad is at the wedding, or at least that he invited him. And there's an opportunity for Chandler's dad to show up at the wedding. So they go to Vegas so they can go to his drag show. And Chandler ultimately invites the dad to the wedding, of which he accepts clearly, quickly, and is super excited about it. I guess that's my summary.
Yeah.
But it is very like, there's a lot of unspoken like emotion that's going on here. And there is a line where Chandler tries to like lay the foundation for like, well, he's come to New York a bunch of times and reached out and tried to get in touch with me, and I've always just blown him off every single time. And so it's a very cat's in the cradle is what he's calling it. And it's all, you know, laying the groundwork for, oh, wait, this has been a thing. Like, we've heard about Chandler's dad through jokes at Thanksgiving episodes and all sorts of other things. But now we have a moment where Chandler is explaining, oh, no, this has been a real thing that he's been trying to get back in my life, and I've been the one shutting him out for all this time. And so it does put a very different spin on this right as they're about to meet him.
Yeah. And I do feel like this portion of the show, it's definitely, as we've talked about, Friends, it's in a time capsule. Well, really everything in television is. And I know that I was reading this little blurb from one of the creators, Marta Kaufman, who was stating that like they really didn't have a lot of the same vocabulary and awareness that we do just around this whole topic at the time, because I was even watching this and I'm like, they always talk about Chandler's dad being like a drag queen, but nowadays we would really see Chandler's father as being a transgender woman, and like he's not real, like
that is not
she, like this is a woman. I mean, this is played by Kathleen Turner.
Right.
This is a woman. Like this is just a straight up woman playing this role. And so there's really no, it's just very different for its time. And this whole portion would be described extremely differently in today's lens than it was at that point, where he continues to address as like his father and him, and even Monica in this moment is kind of struggling with the like do I refer to you as she? She's trying to be very careful.
She is
but
absolutely
confused.
Including like saying things like "excuse me, waiter" or "Tris," you know, like not sure how to gender identify the person who comes to the table to serve them.
Yes.
It's definitely of its time. And like, this is where I don't have a critical view of this scene simply because it is the way that things would have been at that time period. And this is past 2000. This is not 1994. This is not the early seasons of Friends.
No.
We're into 2001 here, or 2001. This is, you know, I mean, I know that's still a long time ago for a lot of people. We're 25 years ago, right?
But a lot changes in 20
years. But a
years.
lot changes. A lot changes in that time period.
This is just,
There's
and so it's just interesting. And I think like, it's just interesting to see how this whole storyline to me played out. And I did appreciate that Chandler was kind of looking back on his childhood, you know, and describing, as you were talking about, like how he struggled with just, well, like, how do I, like, he had a level of embarrassment, I think, because his dad wasn't like other dads, and it sounds like he would show up in like full costume to his swim meets, and Monica's like, listen, but he was there, you know, like,
right.
And it's like your dad was present, and that's really, as far as like being a good parent, I think showing up and being there is really like the most important thing. And a lot of kids just don't even have their parents showing up to things. So
totally agree.
I liked how Monica was just being super supportive in all of this. And
I will also though float out. I fully agree with all of that. Like showing up is step one, right? But if you are a middle school boy and you are having your father show up in like sequin dresses and handing out whatever the snack was, I forget what the snack was, that
the fruit from his hat, I think.
the banana fruit from the Chiquita banana stuff. That's right.
Yes.
Like there's also just a straight up level of embarrassment that Chandler feels towards that. Because now you're standing out, and every middle school student, I can speak from experience myself and from all the students that I see in my walk of life, none of them want to stand out. Nobody wants to stand out. You don't even want to raise your hand in class because you don't want to be called on and be wrong. Like, let alone have this. So showing up is part. But it's still a embarrassment on from Chandler's perspective, and that is tough for him, and it's certainly not something that you would hope happens today. You would still want like showing up to be the prime thing, like, hey, you're there, you are showing that you care. But there is a line somewhere in there that I think Chandler is struggling with, trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the fact that Monica's helping him
Yes.
like accept
It's
this relationship and like evolve in that way, and like,
and I think it's
yeah,
easier.
yeah.
It's easier for him to look back on it as an adult and say, yeah, he was there for all these things. He did do all these things. How great was that? As opposed to being the middle school boy specifically in that spot.
Yeah, it's like Chandler. It's been a long time since middle school. Now you're in your 30s here, so yeah.
Full agreement on that.
To find
right?
out that also, that they were reaching out to him for the past few years and he hasn't been connecting. I'm like, oh, that's not great either.
Well, that's not great. That's not great on Chandler, right? Like this is okay. It's very obvious that Chandler has a lot of trauma from this, going all the way back to his dad leaving his mom for the pool boy, I think.
Yes.
More turkey, Mr. Chandler, right? That whole
At
thing.
Thanksgiving,
yeah. Or as Phoebe,
and then it sounds like hooking up with the teacher at his school too, Mr. Garibaldi,
who's still playing the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Although I still do like the joke. Back with the more turkey Mr. Chandler of Phoebe being like, oh, I'm sorry. Did the rich boy not get along with the butler? What?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, put it all in perspective, Chandler. Like, you had your parents there. You were like had a very well-to-do family. Like, yeah. Oh, that is such a good point. I love that.
So,
Phoebe.
listen, it's all about perspective. And for Chandler's perspective, it's a lot more traumatic than it is for Phoebe, although Phoebe was living on the streets and her mom had killed herself. And so it's obviously a very different story.
Well, that just reminded me of a good Phoebe joke we had in this episode too, because Chandler was saying something to Monica. Well, like how his dad might show up in like a low back dress or something. And Monica says, well, at least as long as he doesn't come in a white dress and a veil, then we're good to go. And Phoebe's like, oh, I have to go shopping, guys. Because apparently that's what she was planning on wearing.
I'll tell you, that joke to me hits the same as when it's stated that everyone who gets married in Vegas is not just married in Vegas. And Phoebe's like, well, all right, I got to make some phone calls or whatever. And it's implied that Phoebe's been married before in Vegas. Again, another relationship that she would have had for more than a month.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't even think she wants to make phone calls. She's just as like, well,
that's true. That's true. I think she just shook it off like, oh, well.
Yes.
I
don't know, Eric, did that ever come up again before she married Mike?
No.
Did we ever address that?
No.
Did Phoebe get those divorces? What's happening?
Let's just say it happened. I'm sure it's fine.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine.
I will say this scene, I do love the moment where, Chandler's dad figures out that, they're getting married in 2 weeks. And it's clear that he knows haven't been invited. Right? Have not been invited to this wedding. And so it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to move on. And so he turns to like, so you're bald, right? And just talks.
Yeah, that was a very Chandler Bing joke.
It was. And then Chandler stands up and, does a formal like invitation or maybe not a formal invitation, but invites his dad to the wedding. And this is when Kathleen Turner turns around and is like, I wouldn't miss it for the world. And there's this great moment. And of course, what is it? Chandler's sitting down talking to Monica, and Kathleen Turner's making her way back up onto the stage. And she's like, so happy for the happy couple and blah, 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 something, something. She's like, but in my life, and then hits it's raining men. And there's four guys come out in like, suits. And Chandler gets to be like, well, I used to be the one all the way on the right. Like,
Yeah. They had like tiny yellow shorts and like a rain hat on, and they were just like dancing around. And yeah, apparently Chandler used to be in the show too, which is great. Yeah.
Well, it just
he was involved.
Doubles down on the whole thing,
parent.
right? Like,
yeah.
But again, I agree with you. Had this been scripted in 2025, the entire tone and language surrounding it would have been very different. As it is, I'm trying to use the language from today and also from the show at the same time.
You really
and I don't know what to do. So it's very confusing.
And you really can't. Right, because they always just refer to him as a guy, even though he's played by Kathleen Turner.
And it's Chandler's dad. It's Chandler's dad. I'm going to keep referring it to Chandler's dad.
Chandler's dad.
And Kathleen Turner.
Maybe I'll just say Helena Handbasket. Helena Handbasket, which is an amazing stage name.
It's a fantastic name.
I'm like, I wonder how long it took them to come up with that name. Like, I would have loved to hear like all the different names that they threw out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the other like names that didn't make the cut for sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're going to jump into our IMDb rating segment of the podcast where we talk about our ratings against your ratings as we find them on IMDb, not to mention our favorite and least favorite characters of these episodes together. Amanda, I'm going to let you go ahead and jump into this one first. It's a little tougher, I feel like, because we really only have like one episode and change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, I'm just going to say I went with the one with Chandler's dad as being slightly above the other. Neither of these are like, you know, my favorite Friends episodes by far. But I also don't like feel really like I have no like major issues with either. So the one with the vows I still find is really funny because it, as we talked about, it kind of like showcased a lot of our favorite moments in Friends. So that's great, and still cracked up about the Phoebe scene. So I gave that just a solid 8. And then the one with Chandler's dad, I just put slightly above that as an 8.1. I don't feel terribly strongly either way, but I don't dislike either episode, but I also, nothing like amazing happened in these. I feel like in general, like as far as all the storylines, I think my favorite was the Ross and Rachel getting pulled over by the cop, to be honest. Like that to me is one of the funnier scenes. I don't know. How do you feel about these? What were your ratings?
Okay, so I just want to flash back in time. The last time there was a highlight episode of this magnitude, we each gave it a 7.8. The fans gave it a 6.9.
Okay.
Fans were not happy with this in general, and I don't blame them for that. That being said, I gave that previous one a 7.8. I found this one to be better, for sure. Not only did I like the highlight scenes more, notice the highlight scenes more, but I also enjoyed the little snippets in between where it was actually new story about the writing of the vows. I found that far more enjoyable than the should I invite her, shouldn't I invite her, and then like Monica coming in and being like, no, you're not gonna go, and like it was all just wrapped in sadness. This one was not. It was obviously much nicer.
Yeah.
So I also, though, gave that one an 8 flat. Exactly. Just like you. I gave the other one a 7.8.
Okay.
I came up a little bit here. I expect to be high on this one. And then the second one, I think you and I had the same thought. Like this episode. Maybe not as much as some of the other ones. It's not high on my rewatch list, but I will give some credit here to the scene with Kathleen Turner and Chandler and Monica, and that scene is
more context into
developing some characters here. So I gave it an 8.2, which is, actually, I'm looking back on mine. The last time I gave an 8.2 was the one where they all turned 30. You actually gave that one an 8.1 as well. So like that's where we're putting this one.
Okay.
Now the fans have gone kind of as expected. The first one, the one with the vows, is clearly lower. They're coming in with a 7.2. So 7.2 for the highlight episode. Higher than the last one, though, notably. And we gave it both an 8. And then they're giving the one with Chandler's dad an 8.2. So again, right spot on where we're at.
Yeah.
I have an 8.2. You have an 8.1. The fans have an 8.2.
Yeah.
Now, what about characters?
I know. I realized I went right into my
You skipped right over the character section. And I just ran with it. I was like, all right, this is what we're doing today. Let's go.
Just threw myself off there. I just skipped right past that. So even though the highlight episode, as we'll call it.
Yes, thank you.
Was less, I didn't like it as much as the other one. I mean, just barely. One of my favorite moments out of both of these was still a highlight, and that is Phoebe screaming when she's seeing them through the window, saying, "My eyes, my eyes." I just love that moment so much. So I just felt like, and then Phoebe had some really funny moments in the one with Chandler's dad too, and so I went with Phoebe as my favorite character. I was on the cusp of going with Ross too, just because I did really enjoy the car scene with him and Rachel, and he was really ridiculous and funny there, but I don't know. I felt like Phoebe won out overall. And I went with Chandler for my least, even though I do appreciate the character development with him and Helena. But I don't know. I really love a funny Chandler, and I miss ridiculousness from Chandler. And I don't know. I just felt like overall I was rating out of funniness for these two episodes, and he just had the least funny moments to me. And so I had to go with my boy Chandler, even though I love some Chandler Bing. It's just, out of everyone,
I don't hate that. Like, especially since I had Chandler close to the higher end for me, but it was things like the very first joke he made was, what was it? He was sitting in the chair. Monica says something. Oh, she's asking him when they're going to write the vows. And he says, "Oh, I figured I'd just buy one of those. Pat, can I buy a vow?" I'm like, "Oh, Chandler, that's awful."
No. Nope.
And it's like,
I think already into the dad jokes.
I think he knew that was a bad joke, and it just never came off good. And it's like, it's not. So
it's not anything.
I'll say
That's
this:
nothing.
I have not given Monica enough credit in some of these episodes, and I feel like this is a good Monica episode. Not only do we get the vows where she is doing her writing of the vows, which is obviously good, and that is all funny. Not to mention she's obviously key in many of those highlights, but also Monica getting to win and push Chandler to go to Vegas, and then being there and struggling herself with pronouns was entertaining to me to watch. So I'm going to give it to Monica. Yeah. I'm actually going to give my least favorite to Joey, which is something I did not think I would be saying coming into this. But to me, it was actually down to Joey or Phoebe. I was not really weighting the highlights in my character selection.
That's fair.
So I was not using those moments. I was trying to look at the original moments. And with that, like Joey's whole storyline with the underwear, I actually find Phoebe to be funnier throughout that whole thing.
She was.
So
for sure.
Joey was just kind of the muse for all of that to transpire. And I don't know, it never really came off great. And since he didn't have another episode to balance it off of, really, other than saying things like, if he goes first, he can, that's about it. So
and if you're not counting the in London.
No, I'm not. And I'm not counting. Yeah, none of that. So I'm just going to go with Joey as my least favorite, which I have not done for a very long time. And with that, before we kind of close this whole thing out, I do want to mention, I grabbed this photo that I wanted to share with you at some point. I haven't told you about this yet. But I took a screenshot off of Reddit when I was on there the other day. And we just did a podcast with this episode. And I'm not sure if you can see my phone that I'm holding up here. But
yes.
this, I'm showing Amanda a picture of a scene with Ross and Denise Richards on the couch.
Yeah.
And it says, I will credit Reddit user Blamber, basically, who posted this saying, "Is this the grossest moment in the show?"
Thank you.
And
yeah, it's
I will say, I agree to an extent, but I was reading through the comments and I made a comment myself in there somewhere that I said, no. The grossest moment in the show is when Danny and his sister are going into the bath.
Okay, yes.
And there was a hot debate between these two moments.
Did you stir up some?
No, I didn't start it. I sided with the group that agrees with Danny.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because that crossed way over the line. Although Ross would not have been opposed to crossing that line. My God. But yeah, I actually, Eric, the funny thing is I used that photo as on YouTube, the cover photo of our episode.
Oh, did you really? Well, there you go.
I could not. I'm like, this is because I named that one like the one where Ross like makes a move on his cousin.
There you go.
Because wow. Yeah, so that photo is being captured because it is an unbelievable moment. It's almost like hilariously crazy that they even went there.
Well, and this is the moment of
God.
If you haven't seen the photo, it is literally a still of Ross holding the popcorn bowl on his lap and Denise Richards reaching into the popcorn bowl, which is in a very specific place. And she's got
Ross
her hand over there. Ross is making a face like, oh my God, this is happening. And Denise Richards is just locked in on the TV. And, the mood lighting is going and it's just whatever. And I will give credit to Blamber here, who does say edit. Just to clarify, I wouldn't even necessarily change the bit because it's so funny. I'm also just saying it's icky.
Thank you. I agree.
And
I
agree
with
like,
Blamber there.
I'm with you. Like, don't change it. It was hilarious, but it was gross.
Yeah. It's like, where did this even come from? But I love it, but it's ridiculous.
There you go.
And icky.
Hey, throw stuff up on the Reddits. I know I'm always around there, so find stuff and I might just throw it out here. Who knows?
Hey.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our socials, our YouTube, our Instagram, anywhere else you can find us out there. We're everywhere. Also, please check out our Spotify. Give us 5 stars there. You can give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. You can, repost and share things on our social media. We really appreciate all of that. You can also check out our Patreon at We Run on Reruns. So please check out all those things. We really appreciate those of you who have found us in all these places so far. Tell your friends. Help us grow this community just a little bit more. We really appreciate all the support we have seen. So for Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching the final 2 episodes of season 7. It is wedding episodes. We've made it all the way here. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.